We're looking at the historic Roper Rail Yard of the Union Pacific Railroad. For a while, this was also the rail yard for the OSL Railway that came through Salt Lake. Now, Harry McClintock tells a little bit of a folklore story about his riding of Big Rock Candy Mountain, and he had this to say.
And in Salt Lake City, not far from the OSL freight yards there's what was known as the chicken soup springs. It has some sort of a chemical content. It was a great place for the hobos to boil up or wash their clothes, and also the water had a sort of a flavor, you know. It might have been chicken soup.
I think I may have found the spring that he's talking about. It's not called Chicken Soup Springs. I couldn't find anybody who knew about Chicken Soup Springs in Salt Lake City, but this matches the description very well. Let's go check it out.
One evening as the sun went down and the jungle fire was a-burning, down the track came a hobo hiking, and he said, "Boys, I'm not turning. I'm heading for a land that's far away beside the crystal fountains. So come with me, we'll go and see the Big Rock Candy Mountains."
Now I'm at Warm Springs Park in Salt Lake City, Utah. We are just outside of downtown. In fact, I'll show you a shot here and you'll see the dome of the Capitol off in the distance. I believe this might be the location of the Chicken Soup Springs talked about in that James McClintock sound clip. Nice. There's this nice area with lots of interpretive panels. This one, of course, has rules. One of them says, "Please stay out of springs," which may inhibit my plans of boiling up a little bit like a hobo. We'll see what it's looking like. There's another really nice area here of some interpretation and some signs with some information, some graffiti, of course, unfortunately, but a very interesting spot to sit and read about the importance and significance of these hot springs. This is, of course, as the name implies, a park with lots of warm springs. There are several springs just in this hillside that it's on. We're kind of in the shadow of the Utah State Capitol on one side and a big industrial area on the other side. It smells of sulfur. You can smell the sulfur in the water.
And the Big Rock Candy Mountain, all the cops have wooden legs. On the bulldogs all have rubber teeth, and the hens lay soft-boiled eggs. And the farmers' trees are full of fruit, and the barns are full of hay.
There are so many historic markers and monuments in this park. This one is for fur trappers and traders, where the first white men in this locality, William H. Ashley and men, arrived in the spring of 1829. The principal leaders were James Bridger, Etienne Provost, and Jedediah S. Smith. I read some of the reviews for this park, and a lot of the negative ones were having to do with unhoused folks at the park, just kind of milling around. Some of them apparently getting naked and getting into the springs. I also read about needles on the ground, including one person who said his dog brought him a used needle that it found. I've been walking around this whole park and I haven't seen any needles there's definitely a lot of garbage. There are definitely less fortunate folks who don't have a place to live. It's an unfortunate situation, but I think all things considered, I don't think the park is that bad. I can see how some of the negative reviews might exist, but I would bring my kids here to play. I haven't seen anything that I would say is dangerous. It could just be a little bit cleaner, but not a big deal. But just to be safe, I do have shoes on right now. I don't want to step on a used needle, just in case. But I haven't seen any.
I'm heading for a land that's far away, beside the crystal fountains. So come with me, we'll go and see the big rock candy mountains. And the big rock candy mountains, there's a land that's fair and bright, where the handouts grow on bushes, and you sleep out every night, where the boxcars all are empty, and the sun shines every day. All the birds and the bees and the cigarette trees, Lemonade Springs where the bluebird sings, in the big rock candy mountain.
So there are signs that say no bathing in these springs, and there's broken glass everywhere. This might be a bad choice to walk around. But I've got to touch this water and see if it's good for boiling up in or not. Oh, that is very warm water. That is very nice. That is definitely like hot tub temperature water coming right out of the ground here at Warm Springs Park. Here is one of the many signs here. This one is for the Hensley Salt Lake Cutoff Warm Springs. It says, we started on the 5th. The day was superbly fine. Not a cloud to be seen, and mountains flashing their snowy tops in the sunlight. We passed around the elbow of the mountain range and went directly north, bidding adieu in passing first to the warm springs, which had furnished the luxury of a bath, and then to hot springs. Whosoever ascending vapor is such a remarkable addition to the scene. That is very hard to read. I hope that makes sense. That didn't make sense in my head. Anyway, this is for the Utah Westerners Foundation and Utah Crossroads chapter of OOTA. I'm not sure what that stands for, but this is a piece of railroad on another piece of railroad sticking out of the ground. This building, the Warm Springs Plunge, was for a long time the centerpiece of Warm Springs Park. Inside is a large pool that was filled with the water from the hot springs. Various business issues caused it to shut down, and it's long been abandoned. There's some kind of work going on inside. I'm not sure what. I'm not sure where to go to find out, but there are definitely construction workers inside and lots of machinery being used. So hopefully they're doing something useful with this building instead of just letting it sit. You can see off in the distance the dome of the Utah State Capitol, and of course an unhoused encampment along the way, right along the fence there. Is this really the infamous Chicken Soup Springs? I have no idea. Probably. It's fairly close to the rail yard. And it's just lots of springs bubbling up out of the ground. It's a perfect spot to boil up after a hard day of work before you hop on the train to the next town. Well, there you have it. Warm Springs Park. I think I found the site of the Chicken Soup Springs of hobo folklore. I don't know. I can't prove it. I don't know if it can be proven. It just makes sense to me. I think that's Chicken Soup Springs. What do you think? Let me know in the comments.